your shirt if you're as a European soccer team, right? We need some sort of system. Is it ever going to happen? Absolutely not. There is no world in which the owners will ever agree to something like that. But why not? Because they're the only ones it would hurt. They're the ones that it would hurt. It would hurt their franchises to make that happen. But the point is, Nick Castellanos is right. Until we find a way, create a way to hold owners accountable for the performance of their franchises, you're going to have some teams that just suck forever. It's just all it's going to be. But I thought it was a fantastic answer. Bill Belichick on the Rob Brown bandwagon, baby.
I mean, I don't understand why this is such a problem. I mean, the camera could be clearly mounted on the side of the stadium on the goal line, just like we have in tennis, the goal line, the end line, and the sidelines, or just build it there somewhere, build a stand and put it on there. I can't imagine money's a problem. NFL's got plenty of money. Maybe we got to have a car wash and raise some money if that's a problem. But I can't. Yeah. There's cameras that cover the entire stadium, security cameras. I mean, if you dumped a beer on somebody in row whatever, there'd be a camera that would see that, and they'd eject the fan out of the stadium for their behavior. So I don't know why we can't get a camera on the goal line and the end line and the sidelines. But yeah, look, we just want to get this right. Everybody wants to get this right. The teams, the players, the officials, the fans. So just put a camera there. And look, sometimes there's too many bodies there and you just really can't see. Well, if they can't see, you can't see. Like, that's what it is. But there are plenty of times when that camera gives you a good look at it. And I think it helps, certainly helps to come to some of the college plays. Seems like the colleges do it a little more than some of the networks do. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
MVP. Do you understand how many problems would be fixed if you would just utilize basic technology that's already in place? Put predetermined cameras on all the lines around the field. All of them. I can go down to Wally World right now and pick up a camera that shoots in damn near 4K for like $125. Grab one, put it on the line, and let's see what happens. All right, last one before we take a break, because I promise you that the Armada Audio of the AM starts today. Go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the microphone button, drop a 60-second voice note on the Ray Memorial Hotline, and if you drop me the best note of the day, you could be played during the Audio Blitz, like Will from Boiling Springs.
Hey, what's up? This is Will from Boiling Springs, and I'm not trying to be Tyler from Spartanburg, but I do want to call out Dabo Sweeney and just say, look, buddy, it's time for you to sit back and change the offensive lineup. I mean, come on, all the same plays over and over. And if you think Pitt and Carolina don't watch tape on all that, then you're crazy, man. Go back old school. Watch some old, Florida Steve Spurrier routes for the receivers, man. Pull up some crazy stuff and run some short and mid routes, because all you do is have your running back float out to the right and then throw it to Maffa and you got 3 yards. I mean, come on, man. You got to do something better than that and better than the deep ball, because that's not working. So, Dabo, I'm putting it on you. You got to do something different, man. Let's see it. Bring it.
Will from Boiling Springs getting his audio play, part of the Audio Blitz. Went to the Odyssey app, went to the Fan Upstate page, clicked on the little microphone button, dropped that 60-second voice note. You can do the same on the Ray Memorial Hotline, and if you leave me the best voice note of the day, you'll get played during the Audio Blitz. Listen, my conspiracy theory is active. I saw on the sideline, Dabo was hovering over Riley's shoulder. He was kind of right there in the ear. Are we getting a return of the Mac? A return of the dab? Are we going to see Dabo start putting his fingers back on the offense, as I believed he did last year, and finally gave the controls over and the offense kind of picked up? Now that there was the L2 fall, are we going to see Dabo start to put his fingerprints back on? Will from Boiling Springs thinks so. All right. Come back, short segment. Then we got Mark Benetti of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits at 8:35, all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, quick live, and we're coming right back. Thanks for coming back. Stay right there. BRB. you. By the way, right now, going up through the holidays, they have got a Black Friday sale that is on right now for you. That Black Friday sale, $500 off their most popular program. You can get the lowest price of the year on this incredible life-changing program, and all you have to do is give them a call at 864-71.
Claws scratching.
Happy claws on the scratch.
I mean, it just visuals would look. I don't know that Cameron can do. I mean, how hard can that be? But maybe set up an extra camera just on the
board.
on the hands on the can definitely do that since you can add a guest. But we can only get up to 10. We're gonna have 7. Yeah, we can do that.
That would be super dope. Christmas remix.
That part wasn't on screen, was it? Because that was, I mean, I was talking about what we're gonna do.
No.
Okay, because I want that to be a surprise. Might be as impactful as the trombone was.
That's one of the dumbest things I've ever done on radio, and I loved it so much.
We're gonna run out of ideas eventually, but then you can recycle the old ones because it's been so long since you used the old ones. So.
FM in Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, and on the free Odyssey app.
Wild horses keep dragging me away, and I'll lose more than I'm gonna win someday. Yes, it is. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob the Great One Lonzo with you here on a lovely Upstate Wednesday morning. Coming up in the next segment, Mark Bonetti, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, will join us live on the stream. And for those of you that had to bail out because the stream went down, well, we're back just like that. You're welcome. Stream is back up and running. Texter says, Rob, has anyone ever told you you look like Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? And the answer is, yeah, like a whole lot of times, dude. Like a whole lot of times. Particularly a character by the name of Fat Mac. Fat Mac is a name that I have gotten many times. And I totally understand it.
Fat?
Yeah, so Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
So that doesn't apply to you anymore.
No, because even like, all right, so
you are forever Will Wheaton in my heart.
I accept that, and I respect that too. I've gotten them both. I'll just for the lulz, I'll pull up on the screen so that for those of you who've never seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia or don't know who Rob McElhenney is, if you've ever watched Welcome to Wrexham, Rob McElhenney is the guy who bought a soccer team with Ryan Reynolds. On the stream right now, that's Fat Mac. On the left, that's Rob McElhenney on the right.
So it's just a beard. That's all it is. Because your beard is tight and it's trimmed a certain way, and that's so anybody else who has that similar beard, but facially you don't look like
disagree.
that dude.
I disagree.
You don't look like that dude at all.
You've said that about a lot of people that a lot of other people think look like a lot of other people before.
Well, here's the thing. I think people are trying to be nice to you, and I don't have to do that.
Yeah,
so, yeah. No, I just don't see it.
So, Rob McElhenney is a...
With the hockey jersey, though, the Cameron vibes are happening big time.
Ugh. That one actually bothers me. Will Wheaton, I got respect for. I like that. Mac from Always Sunny, I got respect for that one.
Do the hey bada swing.
No, I'm not doing any of that. So Rob McElhenney is he's been on the show for God, however long this show's been running, like 16 years. And for the record, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is my favorite comedy television series of all time. It is above The Office. It is above Parks and Rec. It is my favorite comedy TV show of all time. And Mac is a big part of the reason why. The story. Rob McElhenney is a super in shape dude. Like he's just absolutely shredded. Well, in the show, they did a season where Fat Mac was repressing the fact that he's a gay character. And so in response to repressing that truth about himself, he goes on an eating bender, and Rob McElhenney in real life got real fat to play that character. And the problem was I had always been told I looked like Mac. And then they did a season of Fat Mac. And I started getting told a lot more that I look like Mac from Always Sunny. But I started getting you look like Mac from Always Sunny a lot more after he became Fat Mac. And that was a bit of a shell shock for me. Bit of a shock. Because I did. It just is what it is. Because I did. I'm not even ashamed of it. Also, one of the greatest television shows of all time. If you've never seen it, it's worth the watch. But yes, Texter, to answer your question, I have gotten many times in my life that I look like Mac from Always Sunny. Here, I'll give you one better comparison for those of you on the stream. If you're not on the stream, you should join us on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. To give you a more apt comparison, great one, of what I look like compared to Mac. On the left is Fat Mac, and on the right is the Mac that I get compared to all the time. That's the Mac I think I look like. But on the left is Fat Mac, and the answer is, yeah, that's me. That's what I look like when I knock down a bourbon and Coke at the bar.
Maybe that's the thing. I've never seen you in your supposed natural habitat. So I just see you at work. So.
It's fair. It's fair.
And you're wearing glasses, and that guy's not.
Optical pat down. All right. Love some Mac. Love Always Sunny. Yes, Texter, to answer your question, I did that all the time.
You're just loving it that you're getting compared to celebrities. That's what it is.
I mean, I look like Mac. There is nothing it doesn't. I don't benefit from it in any way, right? Like if there's an Always Sunny in Philadelphia lookalike contest, I got a chance. If there's a Will Wheaton lookalike contest, I got a chance. But it doesn't benefit me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not better off for it. All right, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If anybody pops up in Always Sunny lookalike contest, holler at your boy and let me know so I can be there. Okay? That's all I'm asking for. I'll tell you what. Let's run to a break. Mark Bonetti is the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. He's going to join us in the next segment of the show. The Bits have a very special puck drop time today. They will be firing up at 10:30 a.m. So if you got that extended lunch break, take your butt on down to the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Let's go watch some daytime hockey at the well. The Bits back home today after an electric Saturday night last night. They're going to try to run it up to 2 wins in a row. We'll talk to Mark Bonetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we're going to step away for just a minute while we get Bonetti lined up. We will be right back. Don't go nowhere.
It's okay. We need heels in life. It's okay to have some bad guys.
Rob, can you hear me okay?
I've been doing this a very long time, and over the years, I've had a lot of the voice of the blanks on the show, all right? We got Dan Scott on, voice of the Paladins. I've had the voice of the Saints, the voice of the Tigers, Don Munson. I've had the voice of the Gamecocks. We've had the voice of the Knowles and the Gators in years gone by.
Don't forget about Tony Schiavone, the voice of wrestling.
We've had Tony Schiavone, the voice of wrestling, on this show. This is the first time in the 17 years I've been doing this that not only have I had the voice of, and in this case, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, Mark Benetti, but my man showed up in the suit and tie with the headset on from the top of the booth at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Dude looks like he's ready to call play-by-play of the Rob Brown Show for the next hour and 22 minutes. Instead, he's getting set up for less than 2 hours from now when the Greenville Swamp Rabbits play a little rare daytime AM hockey at the Well. Joining us from the Bon Secours Wellness Arena, where the Greenville Swamp Rabbits will play today at 10:30 a.m. The puck hits the ice. The voice of the Rabbits, Mark Benetti, on the show. What's up, fella?
Rob, don't tempt me because I will call play-by-play of the show if I have to. It sounds like a heck of a proposition. I'm doing great. I think it's awesome that we get to have a game of this magnitude here. It's the first time in 6 years that we've had a morning puck drop at the Well. Super thrilled to be a part of it. This is always one of my favorite games of the year because the kids just provide nonstop energy from the moment doors open to the end of the game, regardless of the outcome. It's just it's awesome.
All right, I just want to say from a technical standpoint, I did not think his mic was working because I heard no breathing. I heard nothing. What a professional. I mean, I was panicking for a second, and then he started talking, and I heard the voice. I was like, okay, all right, because we've had those headsets on. Those things are noisy, and I didn't hear a thing out of it.
You don't become a voice of the unless you know what the hell you're doing, and Mark Benetti does.
I try to act like I know what I'm doing. I get a paycheck every 2 weeks regardless, so,
That's fair. Me too. That's fair. I made a career out of faking it until I'm making it. Mark Benetti joining us here on the show, and I do want to talk hockey here in just a minute, but before we get to that, I want to say this, Benetti. I think this is cool. I have said for years that there's nothing I appreciate more than when local sports teams invest in the community, and most importantly of all, when they invest in the kids of the community, and especially for a hockey program in the South. I mean, being able to introduce the next generation of fans is important, but to do something for them like this is fantastic. So to have a 10:30 drop that effectively is serving as a school trip for a few thousand kids from around the upstate, what a killer idea for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits.
It's great, Rob. We have 3,600 plus students from 9 different school districts coming out. Off the top of my head, we have 2 from Greenville, 2 from Spartanburg, Lawrence, Pickens, Greenwood, Oconee, Cherokee, all coming out today. And manifestly, yes, there's a hockey game going on. It's an important one, too, because the Swamp Rabbits have their first back-to-back wins of the season. They're looking for 3 in a row. This is a Savannah team that's tied for number 1 in the division. So, yes, there is a very important 60 minutes ahead of us this morning. But this is another moment, and I think you and I have had these talks sometimes on air and more often than not off air, that you got to be a community partner before you're a hockey team. And this is an exact example of that, where not just hockey going on, but we're stressing the importance of education, the importance of great habits through learning. You can learn through sport, you can learn through the classroom, and we get to marry both of those today. Something that really stands out to me when it comes to the educational aspect of today, 26 guys on our roster right now, 19 of them played college hockey at one point, or played, instead of major junior, played primarily college hockey. And so that shows you that, yes, they were there to play hockey, but they also came out with college degrees. And that education is going to set them up for great success. We hope that these guys play for 10, 15 years, but whenever they decide, hey, I'm done, and that's it on the ice, they've got a great setup for their future moving forward. So trying to impart that lesson outside of, hey, let's all watch a hockey game together, that to me is the coolest part of today.
No, I don't disagree. I've said for as long as I've been around youth sports, whether it's coaching or talking about it, promoting or whatever, I don't think that, and I can certainly say it's true for me anecdotally, Mark Benetti, youth sports and involvement in sports, to me, one of the most important developmental aspects of bringing up the next generation. You can go into the classroom and you learn reading, writing, arithmetic, etc. But you also learn, obviously, socializing and being around people and working. But I don't think you can learn lessons like being a great teammate, learning to win with grace and lose with dignity, all these fantastic lessons that I think more people need to be taught as youth. The best classroom for that is sports. And if you can utilize an opportunity like today to get a bunch of kids who maybe don't get the opportunity to be around sports because of whatever is going on in their life, and you provide them with this, it's a great opportunity to get them hooked on sports and into this world that is full of not just entertainment, as we will find out at 10:30 today when the puck hits the ice, but all those fantastic life lessons that come around or come from sport.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, Rob, you've seen me in person. I sound a lot taller than I look. I'm a little guy, but I loved playing sports, you know, and I played contact sports. I played hockey. I played lacrosse. I played basketball, you know, and I, you know, learned some great lessons from being able to get hit, take a hit, and get right back up and either try to give it back in spades or find a way to find success and be a good teammate. And again, to try and impart those lessons throughout 60 minutes of hockey is very special. And I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without sports and without the lessons that I've learned through sports, both working 12 years now in play-by-play at the pro hockey level, at the collegiate D1 level, to what I learned at school at University of South Carolina, studying what every aspiring broadcaster wants to study and getting a degree in cellular biology, you know, and through even everything before that too, right? I mean, it's just, again, to be able to give those lessons and do it through a hockey game is really special. And, you know, I know every sport has a way of activating on a school day game, but there's just nothing like a hockey game because I think it's just so unique.
All right, let's talk a little hockey as the Greenville Swamp Rabbits 10:30 puck drop today against the Savannah Ghost Pirates. And you talked about it a minute ago, an opportunity to move the winning streak to 3. I think there's one thing we can say about this team. It's that you got a new coach. That always obviously comes with a new culture. Maybe a little bit slower out of the gate than Coach Kyle Mountain would have wanted. But I think Benetti is somebody who's watching ice level. You're up in the Eagles' nest at the top of the well. I've also seen game by game growth out of this hockey team, and to win 3 in a row and to do it against a team that has jumped out to the top of the table early. I think, to me, as much as the result matters, the confidence boost that would come, especially to the new guys on the team, if you can string a third together, would be immense.
100%. And think about what that third win means. You have that momentum going up against later this weekend, the back-to-back defending champions, who coincidentally enough are tied with Savannah for that top spot on the table that you had just mentioned. The team's doing it through a lot of consistent play on both sides of the puck. And you know better than anybody in sports, offense and defense have to go in the exact same direction. At one point over the last weekend, the Swamp Rabbits had scored in 7 straight periods. And over their last 7 periods, they've only allowed 1 goal. And that included a massive 28-save shutout from Jacob Ingham on Saturday night, Star Wars night against Atlanta. And that was a huge rebound win, not just because of what had happened the night before against the Stingrays on the road, but just for the team's overall confidence to see the goaltending do what they were doing. Jacob Ingham Saturday, Dryden McKay Sunday playing lights out. I mean, that's huge. And again, it's all about, you know, consistent play across the board, but then consistently building that momentum, because the schedule is only going to get harder, more games back to back. The schedule is going to get even tougher based on who you're playing against Savannah tonight, Florida Saturday, Sunday, both teams tied at the top. And, you know, so obviously, again, great that we've got all the stuff going on today that we had just talked about, but this is a very important 60 minutes.
Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. And I'm glad you brought up goaltending, because really the last couple of games I've seen, McKay and Ingham have been brick walls. I mean, they've been stellar between the pipes. And one of the things that Kyle's pointed out, one of the things that I've taken away is the more that those guys have proven that they are going to be studs in the net, it looks like the Rabbits are able to play a little bit more free on the forecheck, able to advance the puck into the zone a little bit more aggressively. And as that happened, now we're seeing more opportunities, more shots on goals, more fine in the back of the net. How important has it been able to, at the Bits, have been able to lean on those two fellas with the helmets on?
Well, it's huge because, you know, and And look, there's another marriage there. I mean, yes, the games of Jacob Ingham and Dryden McKay have been phenomenal, but the guys in front of them have to step it up just as much too, and they have. You were there Saturday night, Star Wars night. That last minute, Atlanta's trying to erase a shutout, potential shutout loss, and you've got Tate Singleton literally going headfirst into pucks, blocking shots while down a man with the extra attacker. It takes that sacrifice in front. It takes a brilliant defense to do it too, and they're a tight, close-knit group getting things done. But their play allows the guys to confidently play like that. It allows them to go and get into tougher areas. It allows them to settle down in their own zone, break out, get up the ice, and do things the right way offensively too. So you've got Jacob back there turning aside as many pucks as he had. You have Dryden back there only allowing a goal in his last appearance. I mean, it's confidence across the board, knowing that those two guys have your back no matter what.
Talking to Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. We talked about it a minute ago, maybe a little bit slower of a start, but I chalked that up to Andrew Lord obviously was there for a very long time. He had things going his way, and while Kyle Mountain served as an assistant under Lordo for a year, when he takes over and he's holding the clipboard for the first time, there's just going to be an inherent culture change anytime you switch from head coach to head coach. How would you say Mount's culture compares to Lordo now that there are a fistful of games in the back pocket to talk about? And how would you say the team is responding to that culture shift, specifically the guys like Freeman who have been on this team for a couple of years now?
Well, quite honestly, Rob, I'd say that the culture isn't really different. The same expectations from Lordo are the exact same expectations from Coach Mountain. Obviously messaging on a lot of things, especially with X's and O's, is going to be different, but the identity of this team being hard-nosed, defense first, offensive skill, everybody tries to be responsible in every phase of the game, and you're expected to work. Coach Mountain and Coach Dowda aren't here, to paraphrase Gino Auriemma, to coach compete in effort and energy levels. They're here to give you the tactics, right? And so the culture on that front is the exact same from coach to coach. And that's why Kyle was such a perfect fit to be elevated from the assistant coaching role to the head coaching role. That being said, you've got a different cast of characters up front. You've got some younger talent, guys playing in their first year pro that are learning the game. And there's only so much that you can impart during training camp. You learn systems, you learn, professional conditioning, how to compete and whatnot. But you go through 2 weeks of, beating the stuffing out of your own teammate. Then you've got a live opponent who all of a sudden hits harder and is slightly faster. Not to say that our team isn't fast, but there's a different sense of urgency because you don't know what's coming on there, right? Because you're trying to still acclimate to the professional game. So I think now guys are starting to understand, especially those that came from college with a lesser workload of games, almost half of what Major Junior has, that the games are more intense. They stack up faster. The guys hit a little harder. And now that they've adjusted to that and they have the expectations of what the pro game is, now you're starting to see it click. And that's where the power play is coming in, with the likes of a Patrick Moynihan chipping in, Tate Singleton in his second year coming in, Carter Savoy leading the charge as a third-year guy. All of the support that they're getting from the likes of a Parker Berg, who's averaging almost an assist per game as a first-year pro. He's tied with Carter Savoy for the scoring lead at 7 points in 7 games. So now the younger guys, it's starting to click. And that's why we're seeing so much consistency across the board. So the culture is very much the same. The messaging is different, but the learning process is also different just because of a new cast of characters and a brand new season. And even for the veterans, too, you're playing with new guys, right? So it's getting used to their idiosyncrasies and whatnot. Now we're starting to see it pay off.
Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Break today's game down for me. Look, it's say what you want. At the end of the day, when the puck hits the ice, you got to go out there and play Swamp Rabbit hockey for sure. But when you're talking about a weird schedule change, a 10:30 in the morning drop, you got to be to the arena earlier than you are pretty much any other day, even when practice is at 11 o'clock most mornings. You're talking about a whole different change from the routine that you were used to, even for a 2:30 Sunday game. So what's the vibe, A, set up for a 10:30 game, and B, what do we expect to see today against Savannah?
Well, my expectation for Savannah today is the most important part of the game. This sounds obvious to say, but I'll explain it in a bit. 5-on-5 is the absolute key today. 5-on-5, even strength, full strength hockey. That's the key today. And I say that because, yeah, Swamp Rabbit special teams are clicking. The penalty kill's been shut down, and that obviously has to continue. They've scored on the power play in 3 straight games. The penalty kill's only allowed 2 goals on 24 killing attempts throughout 7 games this year. It's by far one of the best penalty kills in the league. They're number 4 right now at 91.7%. But 5-on-5 is critical because that's where Savannah's bread and butter is. Their special team numbers aren't there, but they've scored 38 goals on the season through 10 games. 32 of them have come in 5-on-5 hockey. So, they're already averaging almost 4 goals a game as it is. But when 3 of them are coming the way that the game is meant to be played, 5-on-5, that's a troublesome stat. So that's where defense is key. That's where being connected in all 3 zones is key. Making sure that the play is tilted to their side of the ice, but also making sure that you don't give them those odd man opportunities, both on power play and in transition, because it's a team that can skate. It's a team with a lot of firepower, and they can score in every possible way, but they primarily rely on 5-on-5. So the Swamp Rabbits can win the 5-on-5 battle today. That's going to be huge. So that's the biggest key I'm looking for today.
Mark Benetti, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. And moving forward, every Wednesday at this time, we will have our Swamp Rabbit update, and we'll have Benetti on some days. We'll have Mount on some days. We'll have players joining us throughout the rest of the season. 10:30 a.m. puck drop today against Savannah. Then on Saturday, another special puck drop time. That one, 4:05 on Saturday. And then we wrap up on Sunday, 3:05 against the Florida Everblades. Mark Benetti going to be on the call today at 10:30 a.m. My man, I will see you right after the show, big dog. Have a good call.
Thanks so much, Rob. Appreciate the time today.
Any and every time. Mark Benetti from the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. We have to run to a break, and when we come back here in just a minute, worry not, kids. We still got 60 more to go. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show is next after Lonzo blows you away with this Sports Flash.
Batten down the hatches. The second college football playoff ranking have dropped, and Oregon once again holds the number 1 seed, followed by Ohio State. He looks like Winter Soldier, by the way. Texas and Penn State in the top 4. The rest of the top 12 includes Indiana, BYU, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia. Boise State, SMU, and Texas A&M are just outside the top 12, with Colorado at 17, and Clemson and South Carolina stacked at 20 and 21. The Winnipeg Jets made NHL history last night, becoming the first team in league history to win 15 of their first 16 games with a 6-3 victory over the Rangers. We are 3 days away from boxing history as the knockout machine Iron Mike Tyson takes on the most punchable face in boxing, Jake Paul. Stay tuned right here for the hype leading up to the fight, which goes down Friday night. We're going to talk about all of it on Fight Club tomorrow. We'll see. Right here on Fan Upstate.
The timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years of the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of the timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-656-1551. That's 800-656-1551. 800-656-1551.
Did you wake up with joint pain? Does it hurt when you do even the most routine physical activity? Have they told you it's time for knee or hip replacement? Hey, it's Charlie James. Stop what you're doing and listen. You deserve a life of comfort and ease with no surgery and no meds. And QC Kinetics can get you there. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative cellular treatment for joint pain. This is an all-natural approach that harnesses your body's own healing properties to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain. Everybody's talking about this now. It's so cutting edge. The protocols developed by QC Kinetics are life-changing for so many people. Tens of thousands of satisfied patients with more every day. Yes, You can have real lasting relief from chronic joint pain without drugs, without surgery, and without downtime. Discover your options with advanced regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. The consultation is absolutely free. Call 864-448-3772.
More specifically, it looks like Sebastian Stan in Hot Tub Time Machine.
That's fair.
The younger
That's fair.
version.
Yep.
He's the villain of the
Yep.
of the show.
Yep.
Maybe it was the camera angle. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't look because I kept seeing Winter Soldier talking
That's
hockey.
fair.
That's my first time actually seeing him. So I've heard him a bunch, but I've never seen him before.
Hosting a holiday party? Then Social Latitude Playground and Pub is your answer for a season of fun. No party is too big or too small. Need the perfect gift card for all ages? Who wouldn't want a gift card for the place voted the best restaurant at this year's Artist Fair? Learn more at sociallatitude.com.
This holiday at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor. What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop Deal Double G. Snoop, let's talk about
Snoop Deal Double G.
this holiday. Get 4 lines for $25 a line. Plus, 4 iPhone 16 with Apple Intelligence and the all-new camera control on us.
Let's get cracking. Like a breakfast egg.
You can use those eggs to make some eggnog, Snoop.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of eggnog,
You don't like eggnog?
no, what Chris sent us last night,
God. Yeah. No.
dude.
No.
Oh, we got to make that happen.
No,
I
no,
will.
no, no,
I
no.
will puke all over the place for sure.
No.
Yeah, 'cause-
No. Not today.
I had to eat 2 eggs today as opposed to my normal one, and I've been feeling irpy all morning. So my English muffins had penicillin on them. So Oh, I didn't eat it. I saw it and threw it away. Should have checked the date when I bought them. They usually make it 2 weeks for me. These did not. Have you ever bit into something moldy before? It does have a taste to it, and you know right away. It's like, oh no.
made a mistake.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm awake enough to go, yeah, that's green. I'm not eating that. Back in the olden days, they would have just scraped that off. But,
Back when you were a kid,
no, I was talking about like medieval days when they,
I was making a year-old joke, Alonzo.
Oh, okay. Oh, I get it.
There it is.
See, I'm just, I'm so old.
I'm gonna get him through it, guys.
I'm slow and old. No, the deterioration began quite some time ago. Seeing the downward slope. When I hit near the bottom, I'm just going to start sliding. That's going to be bad.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo on the ones and twos this AM. Be a part of the radio program. 844-FANFO, 844-326-3663. That, my dear friends, is how you jump on the renewal by Interstate of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FANFONE. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet the great one, Lonzo, at Lonzo on Word, W-O-R-D. And you can tweet everybody up in here at The Fan Upstate. There's all the different ways to get in touch with the radio broadcast. We'd love to have you. Plus, don't forget, join us on the live stream, facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, or The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We broadcast to all of those destinations all day, all show every weekday. That's what I was going for. All right. Got some stuff I want to get to.
Glad you worked that out.
Yeah, I was spinning it. I was spinning it in the noggin pretty hard there for a second. I'm like, we can get there. Might need a second, but we can get there. All right, Greg McElroy was on ESPN yesterday and was talking a little bit about how the college football playoffs could shake up. But most importantly, he brought up a very interesting scenario that could create a little bit of chaos.
So here's your doomsday scenario. Georgia beats Tennessee, Arkansas beats Texas, or Auburn beats A&M. And then you have Bama, Ole Miss, LSU, and Missouri that all win out. None of them play against each other. So that would lead you to a tiebreaker scenario that would allow the SEC to determine their conference championship based on strength of schedule. Guess who's going to the SEC conference championship game? Alabama would get in with the toughest strength of schedule. You know who has the second toughest strength of schedule? LSU. Guess who would finish 8th? Texas. So Texas could go from 1st to 8th in the event in which there's 8 two-loss teams in the SEC. Not to mention, you'll have a 10-2 Alabama against a 9-3 LSU for the SEC championship game and the possibility of getting a first-round bye. So out goes the conversation about, can a 3-loss team make the college football playoff? Not only can a 3-loss team make the college football playoff, but I'll raise you one and tell you that a 3-loss team might get a first-round bye. How about this? Next level insane. What if Boise finishes ahead of LSU and wins their conference, and LSU wins the SEC? That means that the 4 teams with a bye would be the Big Ten champ, the Big 12 champ, the ACC champ, and Boise State, the champions in the Mountain West. And the SEC champion with 3 losses in this scenario would maybe have to go on the road to play against a team that did not even play in the SEC championship game. Insane.
So you heard what Greg had to say there. If this, that, and the other all line up, you could have 8 teams all in a tie to move on to the SEC championship game. And because of the teams that they are and the records that they hold, it would require the Southeastern Conference to go to the 4th tiebreaker. The 4th tiebreaker would be win percentage of all opponents. If that was to shake up, 9-3 LSU would go to the SEC title game. Now, there's two different things there that I find interesting. Number one, if 9-3 LSU was to go to the SEC championship game against Alabama, which would be the other team that if it shook out this way, and LSU was to win the SEC, a 3-loss LSU team would likely end up behind a couple of smaller 0 or 1 loss conference champions, meaning that in year 1 of the Southeastern Conference's, what I am affectionately referring to as the SEC Big Ten Invitational, in year number 1 of the 12-team playoff, a 3-loss SEC champion, but the SEC champion nonetheless, wouldn't get a bye. They would have to play in round 1. Not only have to play in round 1, but there is a possibility out there that the SEC champ would have to play on the road in round 1 of the 12-team playoffs. As a fan of chaos, I'm all in. I love chaos in college football. It's entertaining as hell. I love chaos in college football. But aside from the chaos, isn't this a reason that the major conferences, the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12, and the SEC, isn't this a reason they should go back to divisions? Like, I know you've got big divisions now, but even if you do it NFL style, and instead of having divisions, you do it pod style, right? If you're a 16 team, you have 4-team pods. You play everybody from the pod. You play everybody from a different pod. And then you have one rivalry game that rotates no matter what pod you're in, right? Like there's the pod system feels like it would be perfect. You combine the pod system with what Lane Kiffin said in the clip we played for you earlier in the show, pardon me. Lane Kiffin said, look, you know what the transfer portal is? It's free agency. Remember when I've said, and some of you guys got mad at me, that whether you like it or not, that college football is money first. It's profit first. It always has been. It's just now it's at the surface shining and crystal clear.
I got to ask you about the pod thing real quick. So does that mean you add an extra game? So there'd be a semifinal game in order to win the SEC?
So that obviously it would have to be that way, right? You would take the highest ranked pod winner against the lowest ranked pod winner, and then the 2 and the 3 pod winners. And I think the answer might be yes if that was the case. But here's my thought. Do the SEC and Big Ten semifinals not draw immense amount of viewership?
Oh, absolutely.
That's it.
But that's one more game.
I agree. I think it is evidenced by the fact that we just went from a 4 to a 12-team playoff. And not only have we gone 4 to 12, but I've already called the shot. We're going to 16.
Well, then the bye is not really the bye, because if you play a semifinal game, you win, then you win the championship, then you get a bye, but then you're still playing the same amount that the people.
I got news for you.
Yeah.
I got news for you. When we go to 16, there won't be a bye in the playoffs either. There won't be a bye in the playoffs. The reward will simply be that the top 8 teams host the first round game. There's your prize. If you're 1 through 8, you host a first round game. Again, all of this is what I've been talking about for some time now. College football is profit driven first. And if they think they can make a larger profit, they're going to do the thing and they'll figure out the justification for it later. The NFL whirls with divisions because it's the best way to create interesting, compelling, dramatic storylines down the stretch. Is the AFC North not a compelling storyline right now? Right? I mean, if we look at what the AFC North is and what it has been so far this year, I have got in the AFC North, a Baltimore team that was expected to be a heavy Super Bowl favorite out of the AFC. They're second in that division. I got a Steelers team that all y'all said, they're cooked, they're done. And I said, wait till Russell Wilson's in there. I'm telling you, wait till Russell Wilson's out of Denver and my dog is cooking, just knocked off the Commanders this weekend.
They were already winning with Justin Fields in there. It isn't like the miraculous thing happened when Russell Wilson came in. So they were already a story before that.
They were already a story. Now their offensive numbers are skyrocketing to the top of the league. Now they're doing it with offense. Either way, the Bengals, they're 4-6. Yeah, they just lost. But they do the Bengals, this is going to be something that a lot of you are going to scoff at. Stick with me. Do the Bengals not feel like the most dangerous 4-6 team of all time? Do the Bengals not feel like they'll have to be damn near perfect to do it? But do they not feel like a 4-6 team that is still in contention for a spot? The point is, the reason the NFL rolls with a divisional model isn't because that's the way they've always done it. The reason they roll with a divisional model is because divisional models create drama down the stretch. Divisional models are a wonderful way to manufacture drama because at the end of the day, most of us watch football because we love good football. All of us watch football because we love drama. Good football frequently is good football because of the drama that is behind it. We love the Detroit Lions because the drama that Dan Campbell brings to the table just by being Dan Campbell. The AFC North is interesting, not just because of the drama between these teams, but because all of these teams have some level of drama within them, right? The Ravens have drama. They lost to the damn Cleveland Browns. That's dramatic. The Steelers have drama at the quarterback position. Absolutely, it's dramatic. The Chiefs, they're 9-0. Should be a boring football team to watch, but they're not because it's like every win, every slight win, every not covering the spread win is somehow more of a dramatic win than the week before. And it's been dramatic dating back to week freaking 1. It's a dramatic model. We watch because of drama. When we watch, they get paid. I absolutely think these major conferences are going to a pod model, or as we call it in the NFL, a divisional model. I think at some point, and I don't know what the numbers shape up like, right? Because the Big Ten's got 18 teams in it. How do you split that up? 2 9-team divisions? And you play 6 of the teams in your division and 3 from the opposite? Maybe you play only teams in your division, right? Like, I think we're going back to it. And I think the reason we're going back to it is because it will manufacture more drama. And even if you got to add one more game, because we got a 4-pod system, and now there's a pod semifinal or a divisional semifinal, and then the conference championship game, even if we go back to that, the reason we would go is it's one more very meaningful game. Because even if you are only playing for the SEC championship, because everybody that wins a pod is likely going to be at most a 2-loss team, even if that shapes up that way, playing to host in the first round is a big deal. It's a big boost to your chances, right? So it makes more money. It gives us another dramatic game to put on TV, and you can still utilize it in a way that rewards teams that are going to the playoffs. It's real simple. At the end of the day, and I've been banging this drum for a long time, the college game is money first. And in listening to what McElroy just said, and again, I am Team Chaos, but if you end up in a spot where the Southeastern Conference has an 8-way tie, you thought it was bad when a team got left out of the 14 playoff? Imagine what it's going to look like when 6 Southeastern Conference teams feel like they truly got left out of the SEC championship game. A championship game that for all but probably one of them, a W would result in a first-round bye in the college football playoffs. You don't think there's going to be some drama connected to that? Now, that drama is interesting. It's entertaining, but I can't televise that, right? I can't televise Ole Miss fans being all upset that they got left out when LSU got to go play. I can't televise that Georgia's all upset that Bama got to go play. I can't televise the sadness, as McElroy pointed out, of Texas fans who were inside of the top 5 all season long, but got left out of the SEC championship game because their strength of schedule, which they had a minimal hand in setting and 0 hand in setting in terms of conference strength of schedule. I can't televise sad Texas fans because Texas, despite being inside the top 5 in the SEC and the top 5 of the national rankings all year long, got left out of the SEC title game despite the fact that they had the same record as or the same record as the teams that got to go. I'm all for the chaos, but I can't televise that. What I can televise is if we had 4 pod winners and we had a semifinal and we had a conference final, and the conference final, the winner got a bye almost automatically. I can televise that. And if I can televise that, I can monetize that. And at the end of the day, ain't that the plan? Ain't that the game? Ain't that the way it works? Yes. So don't be shocked if we end up in a pod system as a direct result of what happened this year. All right, just some food for thought. Hey, make sure you go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY, put it on all your digital devices. Go to the Fan Upstate page, click the little heart icon, so every time you open the Odyssey app, it brings you right to our station. And when you get there, go to the little microphone button, click it, leave it that 30-second to 60-second voice message on the Ray Memorial Hotline. Because if you do, and you leave me the best voice message of the day, you might hear your voice message played the next day on the Odyssey Blitz. Our I'm struggling right now. Our Armada audio of the AM. We will play it during the Audio Blitz every day. Go to the Odyssey app, leave it on the Ray Memorial Hotline on the Fan Upstate page, and see if you can get your voice on the show. We are back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast on the Pan upstate. Partial sunshine develops today, high 57. Tonight, chance for rain, light cloudy, 74. Thursday, chance for rain, cloudy, high 38 degrees. Friday, sunny, high 65, and sunshine for the weekend.
Give me 45 seconds, guys. Be right back. Don't go anywhere.
FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingles Markets is a proud sponsor of the Wire to Wire Sports Spin. From the playing field to the stands to your own living room, Ingles Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete or satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, or if I look like
I was scrolling Twitter yesterday and I came across some wrestling pod. I don't remember what it was, but this guy on it said, you know, the one question I'd really like to ask, I'd like to ask Kane how he feels about all these other Kanes. And I was like, we did that.
We'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit.
Some would say it's hard being a trendsetter. It's not. It's easy. Be in the right place, right time, and take advantage of it.
At Home Trust Bank, we work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams are our business, and we have local experts who can help you plan for a successful future. Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch or anytime at htb.com. Member FDIC.
After you use Bounce Dryer Sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll want a sheet on it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you.
So I've realized the mistake that I've made teaching Silver how to play the SpongeBob game because I hate platformers.
I don't know anything about the game, TBH.
It's good. It's a good game,
Yeah.
especially if you like the show. Everybody's in it, except for the voice actor for Mr. Krabs is not the voice actor for Mr. Krabs, and it bothers me.
Is it like clearly different?
Yeah, it's like, could they not afford Clancy Brown? I mean, or was he not available for the game? It's possible. Everybody else sounds like the original voice. And I'm getting frustrated because I just cannot teach her how to turn the camera. We're having mini arguments. It's like left to right. Don't push it down. It goes top down view. You can't see anything when you do that. We are talking stuff though. See, I told you couldn't do it. You try it.
To the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh.
The most frustrating thing about it is you can't use every character in every place. So you get two characters for each part of Bikini Bottom you're in.
Yep.
And you can't use Sandy everywhere. You just want to use Sandy everywhere.
Is she like the brawler?
Yeah.
But is it a fighting game?
Well, no, it's a platform, but you also got to fight stuff. There's these Plankton created robots to help him get the formula, and he left the hostile button on instead of the non-hostile button on, so they automatically like kicked him out, and now they're taking over Bikini Bottom.
He's not that good.
I asked Cole about the video strikes. He has no idea what they're doing. Should probably listen to find out what commercials they're inserting. You know, could be some really bad
they don't play their
stuff.
commercials on the stream though. They
Right.
go to break.
No, the video says they're inserting commercials because of the audio. So whoever struck the video is inserting their own commercials in the video.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan of State. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Your college football playoff rankings came out last night. We've gone over them a handful of times. Thanks to Denton Day from SiriusXM for joining back in the 7 o'clock hour. If you missed that, the audio podcast will be posted shortly after the show comes to its incredible conclusion here in about 36 and a half minutes. From right now, you can go back and listen to that interview with Denton Day by going to thefanupstate.com and going to the podcast section or following the Rob Brown Show, wherever you get your podcast. Oregon 1, backed up by Ohio State, Texas, Penn State through 4, Indiana number 5, BYU number 6. Then you go Tennessee, Notre Dame, Miami, and Alabama round out the top 10. Ole Miss is 11, preceding Georgia, Boise State, SMU, and the Colt through 15. 16 is Kansas State. Colorado jumps up to number 17. Washington State, Louisville are 18 and 19. At number 20, the Clemson Tigers. At number 21, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Oh boy, howdy. The Palmetto Bowl looking progressively more interesting on the national scene. LSU is 22. Mizzou, Army, and Tulane round out the top 25. So now that the College Football Playoff Committee rankings have dropped for this week, what are some of the talking points? Well, we'll start with this one, as we have mentioned a couple of times. 3 of the top 4 spots are all owned by the Big Ten. 4 of the top 5 spots are owned by the Big Ten. Now, there are obviously some things that have to shake out. 2 of those teams, Indiana and The Ohio State University, still have a contest to play here in just a couple of weeks from now. And that is going to be a big one for the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes. Here's my question, Lonzo. If Indiana wins that football contest, which is a long shot, I think you guys are going to be favored by probably, I'd say today, 8.5. If Indiana wins that contest, they jump Penn State, right? They jump into, I would say they jump Penn State and they jump Texas, right?
Well, they would have to because at least jump Penn State because of head-to-head. Ohio State, whether you think transitive works or not, Ohio State beat Penn State, and then you beat Ohio State, which means you beat Penn State.
I think the transitive property of football is dangerous when you're diagnosing games, when you're breaking down games, when you're wagering on games, when you're analyzing games, when you're talking about games on professional radio. I think the transitive property of football is dangerous. I also think the transitive property of football is absolutely utilized when ranking these teams. I think it's absolutely a factor. X beat Y, Y beat Z.
It's being human, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And on top of that, again, when you're putting these rankings together, when you're the playoff selection committee and you're trying to stack them up 1 through 25, I also think, especially when you get into some of the more distanced rankings, that there's only X amount of factors you can lean on, right? What do you do if you have 2 teams that only have maybe 1 crossover common opponent, right? I have to use that as a factor.
Well, there's other things that haven't been decided yet. I don't remember this late in the college football season so many things being undecided. We don't know for sure who's playing for the SEC. We don't know who's playing for the Big Ten. It's kind of exciting because, the champions are getting in. And there are some people who lose, some teams that lose may not make it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, the Oregon Ducks still have a couple of interesting games on there. They've got to go to Camp Randall to take on Wisconsin. Now, that's not a Wisconsin team that's going to be in any way, shape, or form favored to beat the Oregon Ducks, but Camp Randall's a tough place to play, and that's all the 5-4 Badgers have left.
I think Oregon is probably the safest team out of them all.
I would agree with that entirely.
Because they can lose the Big Ten championship, and they're still going to be in.
I would agree with that entirely. I'll go one step further. I think a 2-loss Ohio State team is in. Now, the problem is you got 2 games left on the schedule that are interesting. Indiana, a team that can beat you.
If they lose to Indiana, yes. If they lose to Michigan, no.
I think the other aspect to that is, listen, if you lose to Indiana, you're not going to the Big Ten championship game. If you beat Indiana, you probably are, right? So I think that's got a lot to do with it. But I think if this team was to finish 10-2, there's an outside possibility that you get in mainly out of, and by the way, I was reading earlier, and I don't remember who wrote it, but I was reading this thing.
Your branding thing will come into play.
Yes, that is exactly correct. A 10-2 Big Ten team, like a 10-2 SEC team, will get in if they can justify squeezing them into number 12. This is what I talked about. What happens if, let's say, theoretically, let's say Colorado. No, let's not say Colorado. Let's say Colorado. Let's say Colorado runs a table. They get to 10-2. Let's say they go to the Big 12 championship game, but let's say they lose it by a point in a great contest, and they end up hanging out around 12. Do you think that a 10-2 Colorado team, well, I guess 10-3 technically, is getting in ahead of a 10-3 Big Ten or SEC team? Not a damn chance.
I think the bigger thing would be like a 10-2 Ohio State and a 10-2 Alabama. We've had that situation before in the 14 playoff. If they're both vying for 12, who do you go with? Because then the branding goes out the window. It's
equaled out, right? It's equaled out. Not that it goes out the window. It's just that it's equaled out. Now, let me give you another one, Zoe. What if there's a 10-2 Ohio State, or let's say you're 8-1. Let's say you lose one. Let's say you lose to Indiana. Indiana moves on. Let's say you finish the year 10-2, and you're hanging around 12. What do I do with a 10-2 Buckeye team? What do I do with a 10-2 Buckeye team that has a loss to a top 3 team and a loss to a top 5 team and wins over 0 ranked teams? None. What do I do if I stack you up next to, let's say, I don't know, a 9-3 South Carolina team that has 5 ranked wins?
They have beat ranked teams. Penn State, dude.
Oh, that's right. You have one over the Buckeyes. Okay. It's fair. It's fair. I'm good for the argument. What do I do with a 10-2 Buckeye team who does not play for a conference championship, vying for that 12 spot, if I have a 9-3 South Carolina team that's also somewhere in that ranking order, somewhere in that mix, but they have wins over, will we decide they have wins over 5 ranked teams if they win out? Or 6 ranked teams. If I recall, I think it's 6. I think half their schedule's top 25 teams. If they go 9-3, does South Carolina, with the schedule they had, arguably the most difficult in the country, if they go 9-3 and you go 10-2, and you are both vying for the 12 spot, would South Carolina deserve the nod over the Buckeyes at that point?
They probably would deserve it, but I don't think they get it because of the third loss. Because I think then the third loss does come into play.
See,
because some 3-loss teams are not the same.
I agree,
as other
but let me ask you this question: if that is the case, and the third loss matters that much, then why does one more loss matter? Because last year it didn't. Last year having one loss didn't matter more, did it? You see what I'm saying? This is why I was upset about last year. But here's the part where
these things are a year by basis, and this is also a brand new thing. This is 12 teams. It's not the 4-team thing. That's history. That's so last year, there's 12.
See,
now.
This is what I'm talking about and I'm not saying this about Lonzo, although he's playing into it and I appreciate it for the sake of the segment. # for the brand. This is why I said what I said last year, that a precedent was being set. And you can say, oh, well, last year's last year and this year's this year and it's a new year. And you are right. It is. It is a different format in a new year. It's the same playoff selection committee that is supposed to be using the same criteria that they used last year to determine who's 12 and 13 as they did last year, who's 4 and who's 5. And last year, having one more loss didn't matter, right? That's what we all agreed on last year. Having one more loss didn't matter last year. And you can run to all the justifications that you want to run to about quarterbacks and defense and offensive efficiency rankings and strength of schedule, and that's all well and good. But for whatever justification you want to use, it was decided last year that one more loss doesn't matter if we just believe in your team more. And so my thought would be, in this hypothetical situation we've created, if USC, if South Carolina was to be fighting for 12-13 with a 9-3 record and not playing for an SEC championship game, and if a team out of the Big Ten, Ohio State, or pick your poison, was 10-2, one less loss, and without, because this is why I've pointed out, the Big Ten is top heavy again. You have Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. There ain't a threat after that. There's just not. Everybody else is bad. So if I go out of the SEC, that while the Big Ten has more in the top 5, the SEC owns the top 25. And South Carolina has wins over 6 ranked teams. 6. Then shouldn't I be able to say one loss more doesn't matter? Because it didn't last year, so it shouldn't this year, and therefore South Carolina should be able to get in. And this kind of also goes back to what I was saying about my complaint about Heather Dinich's take earlier. Explain to me why a 3-loss Georgia team should be able to get in at 12, but not a 3-loss South Carolina team who had an objectively more difficult schedule to navigate. It doesn't make sense. This is all I've been asking for. Make it make sense to me. All right, we wrap up the show after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Thank you, Steven. We try really hard.
Okay, real quick. Steak, one cut. Ribeye steak.
Just wondering if you saw that.
I know I have my elk. I do different ways. So I go 1 5/8 inch, which means big, thick piece, which means I either go on the grill. If I can get that green egg to sit there and hold at 455 and close that thing and trust it, beautiful. Other times where we're just inside and enough time with that, I'm a big 16-inch black skillet, oil, butter, and sear that, flip some oil, butter on top of that thing. So just learn this, that butter doesn't brown if you put it in early with the oil. And then obviously that old trick everyone forgets, let that sucker sit for as long as it's because it's got to set. And all those tendencies kind of go. And also, y'all know this one's maybe obvious, but it's the cooking at room temperature. You can't pull it out of the fridge. No, you gotta let it. You gotta let it sit. Get back to room temperature, and all those pores open up. So 1 5/8 inch American white ribeye. Okay,
it's a great take.
It's Matthew McConaughey. What did you expect? Here's what I was rolling my eyes about earlier.
The Gold Deagle.
No, Odie's been trying to buy one, and he saw them at the gun show, and we were kind of messing with him, saying that there's no such thing, that he was just making it up. So now he's trying to convince us that it's real. We know it's real.
And then obviously that old trick.
3772. Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex saline from Vicks.
Sinex nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex saline.
Early with the oil. Obviously that old trick everyone forgets. Let that sucker sit. Don't forget. Let that sucker sit.
easy to
Sit.
control.
Sit.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe.
That's something sit for as long as you could. Yeah. Because you've got to sit. Yeah. And all those kids have this guy. Back in. And also, you got to know this one's maybe obvious. It's the cooking room temperature. You can't pull it out of the fridge. No, you got to let it sit. Get back to room temperature. That's a good one. And all those pores up. So 1 5/8 inch American microwave.
That's over $1,800 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Only at Verizon. Service plan required for watching tap. Over $1,800 value based on phone watching tap. Right down to additional terms of see Verizon.com for details.
Odie finally watched Deadpool and Wolverine last night and texted us and said he learned new curse words by watching. I find that hard to believe. Because he said some things before, and I'm like, what? What'd you say? What's the English equivalent of that thing you just said? Look, it's Heather and Paul.
Paul! Damn right I'm walking the vans, Wesley.
Put those things down. Mister, I don't like feet, but you flashed your feet at least 3 times today.
I didn't flash my feet. I flashed my shoes because I got dope kicks.
It's
Fresh kicks.
You flashed your feet.
No, I didn't. I flashed my shoes.
Yeah, okay.
You
All
couldn't
right.
never. There's no point. You saw my feet. You saw my shoes. Not my feet. My feet are inside my shoes. These are my shoes. And my dope shoes, my fresh shoes that match the kit top to bottom.
I don't know
it's
if
a
I
whole
say dope
vibe.
shoes. That sounds like something totally different.
No, dope is good. All right. It's like Radical from back in your day.
No, I was going to say it makes it sound like you paid for them by selling dope.
No, it doesn't. Dope just means cool, Gramps. Come on, man.
Excuse me.
I've taught you this.
Excuse me, old man. I don't even know that they use dope anymore to describe things.
Oh, it's back, baby. We done circled all the way back around. Bell bottoms and dope.
What's this we stuff?
The kids, the society, public.
And you're one of them?
Damn right. I still got it, bud. I still got it. I'm still hip. Speaking of
that, you are daddy-o.
We talk about food on this show. It's an important part of my life. It's an important part of your life. It's actually one of the most important parts of everybody's life.
Yeah, I think we all kind of need it.
Yeah, got to have it. Our buddy Michael Stathakis pointed out at one point that the reason food comes up regularly on just about everybody's radio show is because we like to talk about things that we connect over, right? Whether it's our football team, whether it's music that we like, whatever. And there are very few universal experiences. Food is one of them. So when I come across a good food take, like a good food take, I got to share it. I think all of us, and all of us, I mean America, love Matthew McConaughey. How can you not love Matthew McConaughey? He's just a dude that's got his own vibe. Just does it the Matthew McConaughey way every time. He's the best, all right? Well, Matthew McConaughey was on a podcast called Two Bears, Two Bears, One Cave. It is hosted by a couple of comedians. One of them is Bert Kreischer. The other one is Tom Segura. Two guys I very much like. And again, they're grown-up comedians. They're not for everybody. But podcast is pretty funny. Yeah, it used to be. It's kind of fallen off a little bit. But they get good guests. Matthew McConaughey was one of them. And they asked Matthew McConaughey one of the most important questions that you can ask another human being if you want to get to know them better.
Okay, real quick. Steak. What cut do you eat?
Ribeye steak.
Ribeye steak.
Admit it or not, we're not talking about, I want to eat lean.
And
I know I have my elk.
How do you have it cooked?
Well, the different ways. So I go 1 5/8 inch, which means it's a big, thick piece of meat, which means I either go on the grill. If I can get that green egg to sit there and hold at 455 and close that thing and trust it, beautiful. Other times where we're just inside and I don't have time for that, I'm a big 16-inch black skillet, oil, butter, and sear that and flip some oil and butter on top of that thing. Because I just learned that butter doesn't brown if you put it in early with the oil. Obviously, that old trick everyone forgets, let that something sit for as long as you cook it.
Yeah.
because it's got to settle.
Yeah.
And all
the
those tendons
juices
have to
kind
just
of
kinda
go
relax.
absorb it back in.
And also, you don't know this one. This may be obvious, but it's the cooking at room temperature. You can't pull it out of the fridge.
No, you got to let it.
You got to let it sit. Get back to room. Get to room temperature.
That's a good one.
And all those pores open up. So 1 5/8 inch American Wagyu ribeye.
Thank you, Matthew McConaughey. Thank you for helping me make America a better place. Thank you for helping me make America make steak great again. All right? Everything he just said is spot on. Number one, if you can afford it, get you a porcelain, get you a big green egg, put that thing at $4.55 and let it sit. Now, this is the part that everybody gets wrong, and I don't care what you're cooking it on, barbecue grill, smoker, big green egg, porcelain, whatever you're using. You've got to trust the equipment to do the job. All right? If you can get that grill working and you can get it to the right temperature and you can open that SOB, sit that steak down, and then drop it back down. Okay? You do that. You got to keep it closed. You got to let that heat surround the steak. It's got to cook it from every angle. All right? Now, if you can't, and you got to cook it stovetop, number one, absolutely, he's right. You go with the big skillet, preferably the cast iron. All right? You get yourself a good cast iron. Now, if you're going to go cast iron, and I advise you to, I'm a big cast iron guy. I got like 5 different cast iron pots pots and pans I use. Big cast iron guy. But if you're going to do cast iron, and you should, you got to learn how to season that cast iron. Do not wash the cast iron every time you cook it. All right? What you do, you rinse it out very quickly just to get the big chunks out. Then you take that cast iron, you sit it on the stove top, you get it all the way up to maximum volume. You take your oil, you put it in there, you let it sit, and then you scrub it around a little bit. Then once you got that oil in there, you want to take some salt, some thick, coarse salt, drop in there, and you want to use that sand to coat that cast iron. You want to rub that salt. You want to sand with that salt. All right. You want to get that real grit in there. Then you go back with the oil. The sand's going to open up all the bits of the cast iron. You go back with the oil. You heat it back up. You rub that oil back in there. You season that cast iron. And the more you do that without cooking it, the better that cast iron's going to perform for you. All right. Second thing, Matthew McConaughey, and this is the most important part. He's right. Number one, you let that steak sit on the countertop. You got to let it get up to room temperature. You do not want to cook a cold steak. You want to let that steak rest. Whenever you think you're ready to cook, you pull that steak out a solid 35, 45 minutes before you're ready to cook. You let it. You don't want to cook a cold steak because, as he pointed out, you got to let that muscle relax and open up a little bit. That's how you let that juice flow through the whole steak. Then, when you're ready to go on, you get that thing up to the right heat. You put that oil and immediately go in with the butter. That's the mistake I see a lot of people make. A lot of people put the oil, they let that oil get hot, and then they put the butter. No, throw that butter in there with that oil. Let the oil and the butter work together. That way the butter doesn't brown. It doesn't burn. If that butter burns before you start to baste the steak in it, you're just throwing bad butter in your steak. You're going to ruin the steak. You want that butter still buttery, all right? So you go your oil and your butter right up front. As soon as that butter is melted, you put that steak on there and you go super hot temperature. You get that good sear on it. And once you've done that, while it's cooking on one side, you take that pan, you take a big spoon, and you just throw the butter and the oil up on top of the steak and just keep doing that. Once you get that sear on the bottom, flip that steak over. Let it sear on the other side. Once it's seared on the other side, same thing. Take that oil, take a spoon, throw it up on top of that steak. And then once it is seared, drop that temperature down and let that bad boy cook. All right? Now you gotta figure out what the right minutes, what the right temperature and minutes is for your stovetop. If you're going stovetop, if you can't go big green egg, if you can't go grill, if you got to go with the cast iron. All right? You throw that up there and you baste until that steak is done. Once that steak is done, and this is the hard part. This is the part that a lot of people screw up. A lot of people throw it on the plate and they just dig in. No. You got to let it rest. However long it took you to cook it, 5, 6, 7 minutes, however long it took you to cook it, let it sit out for that same amount of time. Because once that muscle starts to relax again, after being tightened up from cooking, once it starts to relax, then all those juices and that butter, they start to redistribute themselves throughout that steak. All right. And that's what you need, because otherwise you're going to have some dry bites in there and you're going to have some overly saturated bites in there. You want uniform liquidity throughout the whole steak. You want that juice distributed all the way through that steak. And if you don't let it rest, especially if you get that good sear on it, if you don't let it rest, you're going to have some bites that are super juicy and you're going to have some bites that are really dry. It's just going to ruin it, because you're going to be alternating between mouthfeel of the steak from one side to the other. And it ain't about that life. All right. So let that steak rest for as long as you cooked it, then plate it. And by the time you get it plated, tabled, served, and cut into, now it's had time to let those juices get through the steak, to let that butter seep into all the right places. Bang. There's your good steak. There's your good steak. That's how you roll with it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. I'd like to thank Matthew McConaughey for being out here and fighting the good fight, trying to educate America on the best way to cook a steak. And by the way, even if you like your steak burnt, I mean well, even if you like your steak overcooked, I mean medium well, this is still the right way to cook it. Even if you're going to overcook your steak and cook all of that delicious pink and red out of the middle, because you like a hockey puck more than you like good steak, this is still the right way to cook the steak. This is still going to make sure that you get everything distributed throughout the meat the right way. All right. This is Matthew McConaughey out here helping America be steak again. And I appreciate it. Let's see. Steven said, if you grill a steak, you're doing it wrong. Cast iron and finish in the stove. This is the way. And different strokes for different folks, Steven. Now, I agree with you. I will actually stovetop and oven a steak before I'll grill it. Now, I love a good grilled steak. But if you're going to grill it, again, part of the reason is it's harder to work on a grill. It's harder to work on a grill because you gotta trust that your grill's temperature gauge is right. You gotta trust the thermometer's right. You gotta trust that you're not on a hot spot or a cold spot on the grill. You gotta trust that it's uniform throughout. You gotta have your timing just right. You gotta be able to get that heat up to sear it and then drop back down. That's tougher to do on an open flame than it is with a stovetop. But if you can nail it on a grill, that's important. That's massively important. Texture said, let's see. Cast iron is how you catch the plague. Bacteria, yo. No. Texture, what are you talking about? You clean the cast iron, but you season it, then you put it away. Put that lid on top when you put it away. When you come out, you bring that cast iron up to temperature. You heat that thing up to that 400 plus before you put anything on it. Come on, man. I've been eating off a cast iron since I was a baby. A wee lad, Rob. Do better. Texas said, great. Now I wish I had some steak for breakfast instead of this sliced Walmart deli meat. Thanks, Rob. You're welcome, corn chip. Do better with your life. I believe in you. Texas said, if you don't stop, I'm going to have you cuffed overnight, Rob. This isn't the bleeping panhandle. What? What?
Cuffed as in rested or hitting the back of the head?
Arrested.
Okay.
For what? For coming out here and trying to make America the best possible steak cooking place it can be? And by the way, you're wasting your text talking about the Tyson Paul fight. It's not happening.
Speaking of the best piece of meat in America, the first thing that's Xing is the sexiest man alive.
That's the best I've ever used the sound clip in my life. That was the one right there.
It was really good timing.
John Krasinski named the sexiest man alive by People magazine. Can I tell you right now, it is so weird seeing Jim Halpert from The Office 15 years ago named as America's sexiest man. But I got to tell you, I get it. I say Jim Halpert, a.k.a. John Krasinski, and the wife pointed this out to me when we talked about it last night.
You mean Mr. Fantastic from
I sure do.
Got shredded
from Multiverse of Madness. I sure do. She pointed out that he is the perfect mix of like genuinely like traditionally attractive man who also very clearly has like a nerd side to him, right? Like he's not overtly like Chris Evans, just macho bro everywhere. Like there's clearly a nerdy, goofy, quiet side, but also he's shredded.
So
I get it.
Ears don't matter in this stuff because his ears are like out there, dude. I mean,
Did you watch
his
any
younger,
of his
younger days were not, but now his ears are.
No, they always were.
It's just a hair cover.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Did,
all right.
Did you watch any of his Jack Reacher stuff?
No, I've heard it's
Bro,
pretty good though.
A, it's pretty good. B, a couple of scenes in there where he takes his shirt off, and I'm like, God dang it, Jim! You can't have everything, Jim. You can't be cute and that hot. But he is. He does it both. It's
all right,
it's
all we gotta
frustrating.
do is get a Hollywood trainer in here. And,
I'm telling you.
And you and I both could be like that.
I'm telling you. Any personal trainers out there looking to advertise your company on the radio, I'll take the services. All right. I'm just saying. Daddy wants a 6-pack back. It's been like 20 years.
Yeah, I don't believe that ever happened. But
It did. In high school.
Okay.
I was shredded in high school. I played sports around the calendar. I was shredded.
Yeah.
Then I went to college and I learned what beer was.
Yeah, me too. But I never had a 6-pack. But I think some people are incapable of having that, no matter how hard they work. All right. The next thing that's Xing is someone who also has a 6-pack. Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch. Is she coming back soon? I know her. I know that she was coming around the end of her contract with WWE.
Well, her
and
contract's been up, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
So
and supposedly money comes into play because they only offered her like $2 million, and some of the biggest stars get like 12 or something like that.
Yeah, regardless of how you feel about Becky Lynch, for like a solid 2 years, she was the biggest draw in women's professional wrestling. So I'm if they're lowballing her, I'm a little shocked, not because of her, but because if Becky gets ticked and leaves and she goes there, well, Tony Khan will give her that $12 million, Seth's following.
Well, I think the reason why she's Xing is because of a book that she wrote. I believe that's why. All right. And finally, the last thing that's Xing is Dungeons and Dragons.
I saw it Xing earlier, but I saw it while we were on the air. I didn't get a chance to look. Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be like the 50th anniversary or something.
I believe there's a new manual. I think there's a new Dungeon Master manual. I
don't know if it's a new manual. I do know that, what is it, 5e?
Yeah, 5e.
5e Advanced or something is coming out, which is good because for me, as a Dungeon Master, Judge Away, IDGAF, I like when a new book comes out because it allows all of us who do this to start over on a new platform and a new foundation. And even though they've made some changes that I don't love, I'm interested to see what shakes out of it. Hey, that's how you end the show on a nerdy high. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow, Thursday. You know how Thursday goes. It's going to be busy. We got Lulu Kesson. We got Rashad Beer. We got Hate Ass Mario. We got Fight Club and more. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow to do it all over again on an even better edition of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
What'd you do when you were a kid? Play Nintendo?
Medium rare, Steven, is not the perfect cook for Rob. It's just the perfect cooked. All right, I get to run because I got to go to a hockey game in 30 minutes. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for being here.